Maximus Analysis here for March 16th, 2016, and we see that we had a fairly decent run from the Fed news today. And what we want to look at is, again, them get not just tap like what they did now, just break and continue to the upside. Again, we want them to hold the immediate levels for people trading the more aggressive time frames, 30-minute, 60-minute, 15-minute. We want to see them hold overnight this 203 area and also this 1992 area. Those are levels that I post out in the mornings, and we want to see them just hold those immediately, and we don't want them to break. Again, of course, our big number is 1965, which would come back here and break this pivot. Okay, now they could break it, and this is, and that's fine, and definitely hold this 1940 area. That's what we want them to hold going in. So again, we're very long into this move. So again, if you're already long, I would suggest just peeling some profits, because there's going to be some type of retracement. We just want the retracement to be basically tidy, and tidy is what we discussed here. We were discussing this all the way up. We want tidy pullbacks, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and so far it's been that way. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, and then pop. But we want them to continue to the upside. Again, looking for upside potential target. Again, they will look more at the midpoint of this previous chop, which are putting them at the 2050 area. Again, kind of long, and again, we're about 4 or 5 weeks in. Again, on the weekly time frame. So again, we want to see how this week closes, because they are in basically, you can expand this and say, okay, this could be some level of resistance, and as long as you know that it's there, it's not to say that it cannot blow past it. It definitely could, but just being aware of that. And again, if you're in a trade already, just peeling off locking in some profits, so that if there's any move to the downside, I rather take off stuff into strength and take off shorts into weakness, versus when everybody starts popping up. That's when you kind of see them just pull back 1 or 2 days just to scare out a lot of people that are trading potential breakouts. And we want to see another short squeeze type of move here. Again, they have not really forcefully gone up at this level, so I wouldn't call this capitulation, because it didn't just gap down, but it didn't just fall apart. So we just going to continue to watch that. We have the NQ. Again, NQ holding this 4200 level is a real key thing, and you can see that they're close to testing this 200-day moving average, and again, breaking that, they get back into the midpoint of 4600, and again, breaking that, they go to new highs. But we do want to see them hold this 4200 level if there is some type of pullback. Again, we want them to continue the tidiness, and I'll keep reiterating that word, because we want them to keep layering these highs. So we want them to layer these highs, and once they start getting back in and start really crunching around sideways, then we'll look to say, okay, the move is up, but it's gaining some little weakness, and we'll look for a pullback if we're still bullish on the name. YM, we want them to hold the 1680 area, 16800 area, and they have an upward potential of 17700, and that's kind of what we're looking at, and we've pointed that out before, and we'll continue to look at that and see how that goes. But again, just holding, and they've gone up tremendously. So if we're using that same type of analogy of holding the highs, they have here, and they did here, and this is a very bad indecision day, but we kind of really just want to make sure we're looking at that stuff kind of in that way. So let's look at crude. Had a big day up. Again, we want them to continue. This would be the pivot low that we want them to hold, this 35.87 area, or basically this $36 pivot. And again, if they continue to the upside, we could see them go for this 200-day moving average, or a target of 44.80. Let's look at some individual names quickly. Amazon did not participate today, which was kind of weird, but that's fine. Again, let's look at the weekly time frame to kind of give us some perspective on a higher time frame, what we got going on. And we want them to hold last week's low. They broke this previous low, got back up, but we want to see if they're going to come back down Thursday and Friday for that name. Again, it had a great move, but now it's starting to, again, we're using that same analogy. We would have wanted them to get above this and then come back down, but now we're seeing it kind of going sideways. But holding this second pivot back of 533, they're still looking good. Google was up again, continuing to move up. Looking at the weekly time frame for some perspective, we want to see some more volume perk up a little bit. Again, we were looking at that a couple days ago, and we said this 750 area is something to kind of be aware of. So the volume's kind of dying down, but we want to see what they do for the rest of the week, meaning that, this candle is still open, so we still have to watch and see how it responds for the latter part of the week to see if there's more volume. LinkedIn finally gapped down and continued down. We have Priceline that continues to move up. Again, this move is kind of, again, you have the higher lows in place, and we said based on the weekly time frame, we've been saying it is not a short candidate due to how aggressive this how aggressive this 1 week or this gap up was in regards to this was earnings week. So let's look at one last name, and we'll look at Netflix. Again, it's close to the $100 level. Again, didn't participate much. Again, it would have been a nice intraday trade, but as far as a swing trade, you're really in kind of this land right here. And you can see that going on the daily time frame, and on the weekly time frame, you can see that we don't have any volume stepping up. So again, they need to get back above that 100 and that 103 level by the end of the week, or we're going to see, again, we see some really low volume on a lot of different things. So we have to treat things accordingly, and again, have to look at things on a higher time frame just to make sure we still got some oomph behind us, because we'll see this is coiling up to break one way or the other. And again, if we still have this resistance that we're going to be breaking into. So if you're long already, I would suggest peeling some profits and then, just trailing the runner as B, maybe using a couple pivots back depending on your entry. So let's continue to see what they have going on. We're looking at the ES again one more time. And the bulls are in control. We have our levels that they need to get back back up above, and they're staying above them. So again, intraday time frame, we want to see that 203 and 192 levels held. All right, take care and we'll trade them tomorrow.